This is Darlene Knight with Jury by BDK for JBBDK Business Tips for Artisans. Branding for Artisans. Build a business that feels like you. This presentation is designed to help artisans and handmade business owners build an authentic, memorable brand that reflects their passion and attracts loyal customers. Introduction. We're going to be talking about how to build a business that feels like you. I'm going to be sharing some insight to Jury by BDK and myself, Darlene Knight, and my jury journey and how branding has transformed that for me. And what is a brand? This is a really big question for a lot of people, especially when they begin the journey of entrepreneurship or they're starting a business. This question will always be there. What is a brand? And a brand is not just a logo. That it's not. Most people think it's the logo. It starts and ends with the logo, and that's untrue. A brand is not just a logo. It's how people feel about your business. Number two, branding includes visuals, tone of voice, customer experience, and the values that your brand brings to the market. And three, what do you want people to feel when they see your work? When we talk about the visuals, there's a lot that goes into the visuals. Visuals are those first impressions that your audience sees. Those include, of course, the logo, which is your brand's face. There's a color palette. So you want to be very particular about the colors that you pick. They could be your favorite colors, or you may want to do a little bit of research to see what specific colors mean, because colors evoke emotion and they set the style for your brand. Also, typography. You want to be very considerate about the fonts that you choose to reflect your brand's personality. So if you have a line of children's clothing, you might want to use like some type of comic writing. You might want to use some type of writing that has a special effect, maybe two colors or different things like such. So, or if you have a luxury brand, your luxury brand, you might want to use like some type of script writing or something that's very elegant, but you want to consider the fonts that you're going to use when it comes to your brand's personality. And then photography style, how your products and lifestyle images look. So what do they look like? Are they high quality? What type of lifestyle does your images reflect in those images? Packaging design. This is what your customers receive and unbox. And you don't have to go way out with boxing and packaging. I see people do a lot of extra packaging. There's a whole lot of graffiti in the box. There's a whole lot of tissue in the bags. Sometimes simple is just enough. Many times it's just too much. And I think what happens, especially with entrepreneurs or smaller businesses, we really go all out when it comes to packaging, like all this extra. I've seen some videos where people will do like reviews for, particular brands. And when they go to open it, you got to open one box and then you got to open another box. And then when you open that box, there's a whole lot of tissue, there's a whole lot of graffiti, there's a whole lot of papers. It's just too much. And sometimes, simple is better many times. So do the evaluation and, test things out when it comes to your packaging design. And remember, consistent visuals make your brand instantly recognizable. That's why we have to get everything perfect. Well, it won't never be perfect, but we want to get everything in alignment and order and as perfect as we can get it in the very beginning. Because remember, you're building the foundation, and you're building a foundation that you want to continue to build on. It's bad when you start a business, you're building a foundation, and then you don't get the foundation right. So now you got to try to go back and undo some things and then redo some things and try, and it will probably never be the same. Chances are you'll end up creating a whole new entire business. Can it be done? It can be done, but why would you want to do that? So just go ahead and work on the foundation from the very beginning. Take your time when it comes to picking your logo, because that is your brand's face. Be very considerate and aware when you're picking your color palettes. So colors do mean things. Research the colors and see what these different colors what type of emotions that they generally provoke or said to provoke, right? Your photography style. Be very particular about the images that you take and how you present your products in those images. And with the packaging, be very, simple about the packaging. Whatever you want to do with your packaging is cool stuff. However, just remember sometimes simple is better. And when we talk about what do you want people to feel when they see your work, there's feelings, because jewelry buying is an emotional purchase. It's considered to be an emotional purchase. Do you want people to feel inspired by your work? Do you want them to feel empowered? Do you want them to feel calm and peaceful? Or do you want them to feel like unique? And your pieces bring this type of artistic uh, look to them that they so much like because they like dressing in this very unique, extravagant type way? Or do you bring feelings of elegant and luxe? Do you bring a feeling of warm and nostalgic, creative, or even connected? Some pieces can make people feel very connected. This piece tells a story that they can relate to. So all needs to be considered when it comes to branding. It's not just about picking a logo, just find in any color that you want to use. It's a lot more that goes into it, and take your time when it comes to picking and choosing those things, right? Know your why. This is one of the things that a lot of people don't even understand, why they do what they do, when they do it, or how they do it, right? I do know, like for many people that are artisans that hand make items, it's passion. I love doing it. I enjoy doing it. I love the process from the beginning to the end. And that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So you always want to define your purpose. Why did you start making what you make? And we all have a story for why and how we begin making what we make. How does your craft reflect who you are? That's a really good question that a lot of people cannot answer. How does your craft reflect who you are? Your why guides your brand's tone, visuals, and messaging. That goes back to the branding. That's why you got to be very careful about the branding, the visuals, the colors, the rhythm of your brand. Find your signature style. We all have a signature style. It may take a little minute for us to find that and understand what that is, but generally that includes colors, textures, materials, and it defines our work. Also, is your style bold? Is it soft? Is it earthy? Is it luxurious? Is it minimalist? Is it playful? We need to know all these things because all those things go into the branding. A quick tip: create a visual mood board to stay consistent. A lot of people don't know about a visual mood board. And a visual mood board is just a curated collage of images with the colors and textures and fonts and design elements that visually represent the look, feel, and vibe of your brand or creative project. And this is really, really something smart to do because it's almost like a puzzle, like putting a puzzle together. And you're going through this little trial and test period with this visual mood board. You can do anything you want to do on this visual mood board. It's almost like creating the business on a visual mood board. And then you begin going into the process of creating that business and those items. Think of it as a visual blueprint or inspiration board that helps you stay focused on your brand's style and emotional tone. And that's exactly what a visual mood board does. Create a visual identity. Choose a color palette, and that could be between 3 and 5 colors. And remember, you want to do a little research about the colors, what colors mean, what they're supposed to mean, and what type of emotions they provoke. And again, if you want to use your favorite colors, that's good stuff too. Just make sure that the colors that you use are very compatible and they match well together. Select 1 or 2 fonts that match your brand vibe. Design a logo or have one made that's versatile and clear. Keep your visual style consistent across packaging, website, and social media. Here's where a lot of people kind of drop the ball at. There's no consistency across packaging, websites, or social media. They may have one color on the website, it's all beautiful, and it could be oranges and pinks and greens and all that good stuff. But the packaging might be black and turquoise, and then social media is like a total different color. And like everything else is going on. There has to be consistency that is threaded throughout any and every tool, source, package, website, social media. It has to look the same, be the same, communicate the same. And a lot of times here is where a lot of entrepreneurs and small businesses kind of lack in this part right here. But it's consistency. And that consistency comes from branding. Remember, the branding with picking logo, color palettes, and all those things in the very beginning is a foundation that you're establishing. You're building a foundation, and then you're going to build on top of that foundation. Craft your brand voice. Are your designs formal, fun, nurturing, quirky, or inspirational? We always want to use consistent language in your product descriptions, social captions, and emails. And we kind of just touched on that. That's where that foundation comes in at. Your voice should feel like an extension of you. So if you talk in a fun, quirky, off kind of way, that should be communicated in your descriptions, your social media captions, your tagline, just across the board. It should sound exactly like you. Also, design an unforgettable customer experience. And how do you do this? Use thoughtful packaging, thank you notes. And thoughtful packaging does not mean a whole lot of tissue, a whole lot of confetti, a whole lot of extra unnecessary anything. Because think about it, 9 times out of 10, all those things are going in the trash. And you've spent money on those supplies in order to make that packaging look real pretty, right? But at the end, with the customer, it's going in the trash more than likely. You also want to include care cards or a short note about the story behind the piece. Care cards are really good, especially if it's jewelry or a piece of clothing or something, or even if you made dolls, you made real pretty dolls, and you made the stand that like a wood stand or something for them to stand on. And how do I care for this doll? It's not going to always look this way because it'll be sitting somewhere on display. It's exhibited. It's going to catch dust. Like anything can happen to it. How do I take care of it? So that would be a really cool something to add into the packaging, a care card. And also make every touch point from your website to your inbox feel warm and on brand. Warm and on brand is literally you. You're the brand. At the end of the day, you're the brand. And that's where the foundation begins. It begins with you. You're the brand, right? But you have to pick all these different things to make the brand be you, speak you, reflect you. Brand story and why it matters. People connect with stories. That's one thing I've learned, that people connect with stories, and everybody has one. And every story is not necessarily the same. And it's not just products. Share your journey, your creative process, or what inspires you. People generally like to hear how your journey started, how you got started making what it is that you make, what your creative process is. And that creative process can be documented. You can begin to record videos and upload those to YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or wherever you want to do that. Or and also what inspires you. You know, people do like to hear about what inspires you, not how you started, but how you continue on this journey. Include your story on your website, social media, and product tags. Just a little side note, include small cards or tags in your orders that share a story behind the design, a quick founder moment, or a fun did you know about your materials or values. People tend to really enjoy those extra little tidbits of information. Tools to help you stay consistent. Canva is my friend. It is my best friend. Okay, so you can use Canva or Adobe Express for brand templates. You can also store your brand assets like colors, logos, and fonts in a brand kit, which I suggest that you do. You can also plan your content visually using scheduling tools, and you can do some research on scheduling tools. For this one, I didn't want to name any particular tools because the ones that I use, I really wasn't pleased with. So I have a whole different system that I use. But do some research for scheduling tools, and hopefully you'll find one that fits you and also your budget. Your next steps. Define your brand words. Example, is it earthy? Is it bold? Is it spiritual? Is it luxe? Create or update your mood board. Remember, we talked about that mood board, and that mood board is almost like a puzzle where you can literally just kind of test things out on the mood board, your colors, before you literally lock in your decisions. So the colors you want to use, the fonts you want to use, like that whole rhythm of communication, your tagline, like you can do everything on this mood board. And I would suggest that you try that out before you start locking in colors and words and all those good things. Also, review all your platforms. Make sure your branding matches across every single one of them. Everything should look the same. That is what branding is all about. It is consistency in communication, consistency in the visuals, consistency in the feel, consistency in the rhythm of, right? And that is how you are recognized. Your brand is recognized. As soon as I see these colors, as soon as I see this tagline, as soon as I see this font, as soon as I hear that rhythm, that tone, I know that is Jewelry by BDK or JBBDK, right? Keep showing up authentically. You are the brand. Show up being who you are and let that be represented in every piece that you create. Anything and everything that you create, from a post on your social media to your website to the actual item that you make to the photos that you take. All of it makes sense. You are the brand and you are represented in every single piece of your business. Okay, now let's talk about my story and how branding transformed my handmade jewelry business, Jewelry by BDK. So, when I started making jewelry, I literally was making jewelry just for myself. So there were some pieces that I would see, like I used to really shop at Macy's. I used to really love Macy's. I would stop in at Nordstrom's and Neiman and Marcus, and if they had a sale on and there was maybe a bracelet or a big chunky beautiful necklace that was at a reasonable price, I would buy it. But that didn't happen too often. So I said, okay, the jewelry that I like to wear, I'm going to have to make this stuff. So I went into a craft store. I don't remember which one it was. I went into the craft store and I'm looking around and I'm seeing the beads and I'm seeing these different things. And I didn't want to use beads. That's why I started using leather and suede, because I didn't want to do beaded jewelry. Everybody was doing beaded jewelry at the time. So my thing is, I want something different. I want something bold. I want something that not everybody is doing or using. After I left the craft store, not seeing anything I wanted, beautiful beads, thick leather, couldn't use the thick leather. There was a store, used to be downtown San Diego. And in that store, they would sell scraps of leather, really soft, beautiful leather. And when you walk into the store, they had like this really huge bin that was just full of all these beautiful, bright pieces of leather. And I was like, you know what? I wonder if I could make me a bracelet, or I could make something out of that leather and suede. That's what I did. I bought bags of the leather. I began making leather pieces. It was necklaces, bracelets, earrings, like anything that I could, pendants, anything that I could make using that leather, that leather, uh, leather material. My jewelry didn't have a voice. It wasn't very specific. It was just pieces I was making. So it really didn't have a vibe. It didn't have a nice energy. They were nice and different because they were leather and suede. So I said, okay, I got to do a little bit. I got to do something different. So I started researching, looking at different jewelry lines online and going into Neiman and Marcus and Nordstrom's and kind of looking at the pieces that they had and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, what I'm making has to fit into one of these jewelry categories, right? And it came close to boho. I was like, oh, okay, boho. It can be boho. But I said, well, boho is good, but I'm going to start calling mine artistic boho, right? Artistic boho. And then the more research that I did, I would see that these different brands would have like pretty colors and they had like special writing, and I didn't know anything about logo. So I saw the logo. When I would see the logo, I didn't know it was a logo. So the more research that I did, it was like, okay, well, what is the picture that I see on all these different businesses? What is that picture called? And that's how I learned that it was an actual logo, right? So found out it was a logo, and then it just took off from there. The branding did amazing things for the Jewelry by BDK jewelry collection. Once you learn the branding, the colors, the vibe, the voice, the rhythm for your collection, if it's jewelry, if it's doll making, if it's candles, whatever that is, I guarantee you, you will elevate to an entirely different level when it comes to your business. So branding is special. Branding is something that needs to be done. Branding is something that helps you stand out from all the rest. Branding has its own personality. It has its own life. It has its own vibe. And when you build that foundation from the bottom, you want to build that foundation from the bottom. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time to think about these things, the colors you want to use, what your logo is going to look like, the rhythm of your conversation, the rhythm of your speech, special words you want to use, the terminology, what trigger words, all that matters. Every single aspect of that matters when you're establishing your brand. And I do hope that this video was beneficial and you learned something from it. Conclusion and questions. Branding is about connection, not perfection, because we concentrate on perfection, and perfection will get us in trouble every single time. Do the work, be as authentic as you possibly can, produce high quality, and everything will work out like it's supposed to. Let your story, voice, and design speak to the heart of your customer. And people know when you're real. They understand when you're real, and they also know when you're fake, okay? So just be you. Build on who you are, build on your personality, and let that be reflected in your brand. Build a business that truly feels like you. It has to feel like you. It has to be you. It's an extension of who you are. That's like with the Jewelry by BDK. Darlene Knight for Jewelry by BDK. Jewelry by BDK and the jewelry that I make is an extension of who I am. I like big, bold, pretty, loud jewelry because I'm not loud and I'm not as bold as my jewelry, right? So the jewelry is an extension of my personality. Artistic, colorful. I love all the colors and the boldness and all that good stuff, right? And it's an extension of who I am. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to put the questions in the comment section, or you can email me at jewelrybybdk@gmail.com. I also suggest that you go over to the Jewelry by BDK website at www.jbbdk.com. Check out our library of business ebooks. They're available for instant downloading. You will also find on the website, we have a monthly digital magazine that is generally filled with a lot of good, useful business information and some other information. And I hope you enjoyed the video.